Sorry, I forgot to hit record at the beginning of this. So we're going to catch half of the recording.
No
For
worries.
those for those who missed the call, they just missed the first half. No backsies. Sorry, fan. Sorry, guys. But no, it makes sense on intent. But I think the one that I think is most important in today's market, and this goes back to like, it's the strategic advantage, it's the unfair advantage, it's the thing that you guys have that no one else has, and that is a really important thing. And we defined it as kind of, well, we were talking about it as engagement or engageable. And I think that's the thing that people take for granted because they assume, like, if we just buy this list of random folks who want a mortgage right now and they have a high interest rate, then it's a slam dunk. I'm going to, call them and they're going to answer the phone and I'm going to make some deals. But that's just so rarely the case, partly because it's too simple of an idea that lots of people have the idea and you're competing in a really competitive space. But when we're defining engageable, what is it you're looking for there? What makes a contact engageable? Or why is
Yeah,
that?
so this is, I mean, this is really the whole point of the philosophy of our whole system, right? Is start with who can you engage with, and then let's do all the work of figuring out intent and ability. Um, because, well, let's define it first. Somebody you can engage with means somebody that, they don't need to know and trust you, or they don't need to have closed a loan with you in the past. They just need to know that you are a real person, um, and not a stranger or a bot or even some fraudulent fake thing. I mean, now there's so much, sketchy scams going on with people calling directly to your cell phone. Um, I mean, just email scams, all kinds of stuff. If somebody just knows that you're a real person and maybe referred to from someone else, like, hey, this referral partner said so and so does loans, they're in our town and they are real, you have a huge advantage just from that. So, that's that kind of the myth we want to break with people, is that they need to have this tight relationship with everybody before they can call and engage with them when they get a MonitorBase alert. You just need like one level of engagement so that that person knows, um, you know, you're real. I mean, they don't even have to trust you. They don't need to know you that much. They just need to know you're real. And there's already a big level of trust there. So there's that part of, some sort of connection with the person. Then obviously, do you have a way to contact and make sure you got an email or phone number in your record? And that ability to engage, or making sure that someone's engageable before you put them in the system, you have like a 10 times engagement rate that you would have from all these other direct marketing campaigns or lead programs, calling strangers and things like that.
Well, and one of the things you mentioned, I think that's worth noting is engageable is you specific.
Right.
It's not about the contact, finding somebody that answers the phone. It's like, I don't answer the phone from an unknown number that matches my area code ever. It's always a call of someone I don't know or trust, right? And and they're selling me something I don't need, or it's a scam. Like, that's the categorization that I have when I'm getting that call. And one of the things I think you talked about was this level of distrust for a stranger reaching out to you through text, through email, or through phone calls has never, it really has never been higher. It's almost impossible to reach these people if they have no connection to you. And so you do have some big institutions out there that are going to go out and they're going to buy the whole list of everybody that got a loan in the past 3 years that has a rate above this. And they're going to start calling these people and they're going to hammer them and try and get them to do a loan. But they have, it's less than a tenth the chance of getting this person to respond that you have with all of the people in your database. And so I think one of the things I always try and push people to recognize is there are people out here who have to work 10 times as hard to get a deal out of your database as you do. And they make it work and they make money on it and they build really large let's say Loan Depot sized businesses on that kind of an approach, right? It's a direct consumer out there soliciting these people for business, and they make it work with a disadvantage that they have 1/10 the engagement rate that you have. And so it really is a secret weapon that I think people they overlook.
Yeah.
If we can identify engaged, I'm sorry, if we can identify intent and we can identify ability, what you're bringing to the table that literally no one else has is that engagement rate. And that's what makes something like this work so well. But Lou, you kind of mentioned it, but I'm curious why you view this as the most important one.
So it's really important today because being data people and having, when I started in the industry, I was a loan officer and then a branch manager. And before I built, left the industry to build MonitorBase, we were buying data, basically chopping it up, finding the best candidates and doing direct mail, and driving phone calls to our team, right? And that was, it was very expensive, like we've talked about, to drive any sort of consumer. But the other part was we found out that when these times come where interest rates go down, then our direct marketing campaigns were far less effective because everyone else in the world was trying to do the same thing, right? But the ones that we engaged and closed even better than those campaigns that we'd been doing along the way were people that have been in our database that we had just talked to, whether they closed or not, right? So when times happen like this, like rates drop, you're going to be, you have the advantage over most people, but also for something like our predictive rate and turn type alerts, which you guys will start to see some of those if you use predictive. Before the consumer knows that they're in the market. And you're going to know right now where all of these consumer direct people like Quicken and everyone, right now they're starting to model and put together great big mail pieces and direct marketing campaigns. But if you can reach out and just say hi and remind them you're there, you have the advantage over anyone. So engagement's really important because everyone's going to try and engage, and it's going to cost them all $2,000 alone, where with you, it's going to cost you a couple $100 of alerts on average to engage with that person. So, I mean, this is really when having the system is fun. Because you can drill into the details of each of those consumers, and you don't have to go and reach out to everybody that closed a loan from this period to this period and filters through who's changed something since then, who doesn't have credit, who's got a divorce, all that kind of stuff. It's just super focused on, these guys have net tangible benefit savings. These guys can do a cash out. These guys can, they've got the credit now and the LTV to be able to drop mortgage insurance. Just keep it simple.
One of the things, I guess you said something I'll clarify. Do you see that when the news starts talking about rates lowering, the news starts talking about changes in the market?
Okay.
Does that improve response rates? Are our users seeing better results in that market than in a normal market?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many arguments of like, well, but consumers are going to hear that the Fed is going to change the rates in September, so everyone's going to hold off, or whatever that might be, right? But the ability just grew for many, many consumers in your database, right? So no matter what, a certain percentage of people are going to be able to move through the system. It's like looking at a stream and there's a big boulder and pulling it out, right? You don't know where each individual water molecule is going to go once you pull that out, but it's going to flow better because there's just a big constraint removed. So yes, that will help engagement and response because they hear like mortgage rates are lower, blah, blah, blah. They start to hear from their friends, but then also they're going to get pounded with marketing from Loan Depot, Quicken Loans, their bank, all kinds of, other direct to consumer marketing um, lenders, and that will actually be what starts to bump them up into the intent part, right? Because then they start to consider it. And then the best thing that can happen is that you've reached out to them and said, "Hey, I'm here. I'm ready to go." Um, then instead of talking to this new stranger, they'll talk to you that they know is a real person and they can trust.
That makes sense. So you mentioned the rate and starting to see rate and terms. What other changes? Because I mean, we just invite our users to this call, so I think everyone here is probably a user. What other changes are we seeing in maybe the predictive model and
Yeah.
inquiry as well?
Well, yeah. Inquiry alerts will be picking up for that same reason, right? As people finally see the news and go, maybe I should talk to a loan officer or to my credit union, you're going to see inquiries pick up. Predictive alerts, you're going to see, we do modeling based on, is there a benefit from, in the rate spread from what they have to what the market is, right? And so you will start to see some rate and term streamline alerts because there's actually quite a few more people that are streamlinable right now. Some URLs, definitely some FHA drop MI kind of alerts where it's, they've got a 720 and above and below 80 LTV and an FHA loan with MI. And then anything, all those debt consolidation cash out alerts, the rates just automatically adjust. So there's going to be more of a savings for them than there was a week ago. And I would say if you are doing those predictive alerts and even the inquiry, go follow up with anyone that you talked to or the alerts that you got the last 2 months, because the ability just changed for all of those. So if at the time they weren't quite interested, you should probably check in now and you'll be able to convert more of those.
So that kind of wraps up on the question side that I have for you. But if you guys have questions on the changes, what we're experiencing here, feel free to type those into the chat or you can unmute. One of the things I think is worth noting here is it's an environment shift that mentally people are going to start seeing in the news, in the marketing. Something is different than it was before. And so you have people that are holding off because they're hoping for things to get better, and now they're going to be willing to engage. But it doesn't mean these people are going to be ready to apply for a loan right now. They're just going to start thinking about it. And that process can be 90 days or 120 days or 180 days before someone is actually ready. But intercepting at this moment for those people who have that intent, have that ability, but intercepting and starting the conversation now does plant the seed for you being their go-to person in this market when they're ready to make that change. And 6 months is going to pass by one way or the other, and it's going to pass by pretty quickly. But being the person that they're already working with is a huge advantage. The person that's already there answering questions over text or over email is a big deal. And they are, if they're not already, they're going to start getting these phone calls and these emails and these mail pieces from people they've never heard of. And the truth is, if you have them in your MonitorBase account, if you have them in your database, you're better equipped to help these people than anyone else out there. That's just a fact. You have more information than everyone else. You have a relationship and you have that history of something to prove that out to them versus a cold text message that you're not even sure if that's a real company, which, is the unfortunate reality of what we're dealing with. So on the MonitorBase front, I think Louis' advice is probably worth repeating. Go back, reapproach, reassess, re-engage, because a no last week might be a yes this week, given the new information, given the shift. And it might not be a yes, I'm ready to apply, but it's likely a yes, I'm ready to have a conversation. Yes, I'm ready to, let's explore what that might look like and start doing the preparation, which, it's a lot easier to do that than, call someone up. And the goal isn't to call them up and get a loan application right now. That's never been the objective. It's too much, too soon, too fast. But if you can call and add value, you'll be the person that they call once they're ready to do something.
Yeah, just check in. Just check in.
It's not a big, huge ask from you to them, and it's not a big, huge, phone script where you're going to have to do any kind of high pressure sales tactics. It's how can I help this person? How can I answer their questions? How can I help educate them and make make this market that we're going into a benefit for them? Like, how do we serve? And that really, I think, is the question that you have to ask in that engagement. But I forgot to open the chat just to see if any questions have come through. I think Lily's been answering a few that
And
have
I'll
come
kind
through.
of I'll expand on that predictive, just to give you a little perspective. There's predictive alerts that we'll start delivering today that, our prediction is, hey, somebody's going to do something likely within the next 90-day period, or from today to 90 days from now. That's kind of our window we're predicting. We're going to give you alerts today that is very likely that those people will do something in the next 90 days based on their underlying rate and their whole scenario and what, how they look compared to everyone else that's already doing some streamlines. And they probably don't know that they're going to be in the market. So that's why we keep saying, don't call and say, do you want to do a mortgage, or do you want, can we talk about giving you a mortgage today? They're not thinking about it. Just check in, and then they will be in the market because they're going to start getting these mail pieces. They're going to hear the news. They're going to hear their neighbors did it. And then they're going to start to think, hey, maybe I should do that. And, in the past, they'd probably engage with whatever mail piece they got or whatever credit union. But what we're hoping is, since you talk to them because of that predictive alert, that they'll have your email address right in their email. They'll remember you, obviously, because it's a short amount of time, and they'll just call you back and say, hey, yeah, I did want to kind of ask you a few questions about this. Does it make sense?
Well, we're right up 1 minute to the end. It doesn't look like questions have come through. I appreciate you guys jumping on the call today. If you guys have questions, let us know. But the biggest thing, we're trying to do these calls on a monthly basis, first Tuesday of every month, to give strategies, talk about new changes, talk about how to approach the system. And it's meant to, over the course of a couple of these, you'll get a pretty good exposure to the different tools that are available in MonitorBase. I saw some questions about, hey, how do I look at the various predictive alerts that are in here? Those are things that we're trying to cover in this call. So if you register and you attend, I would say 4 or 5, maybe 6 of these, you'll end up having gone through some pretty solid sets of trainings on the system. We'll keep you updated on any new changes, new products, new stuff that's available. And our whole goal is just to educate you and help you guys better use the system, find more success in the system, and ultimately get more deals, because if you guys succeed, we succeed on our end. So if you or someone else wants to join these calls, you can send them that same registration link that you registered for this. You'll probably get an email from us updating the way we're managing the reminder system. I think it's just not doing the right set of reminders. So we'll probably invite you to a calendar or transition this to a webinar or something so that it ends up in your calendar automatically, instead of, currently it's just been, that system hasn't worked like it should. So look for some updates there. But if you have friends or members of your team that could use additional training on this, let them know. We'd love to have them here, have the engagement. And thank you guys again for jumping on the call. We'll catch you all next month.
And one last sec. The question on the predictive alert Intel directory, there's some brand new alerts that are deploying probably later today. Those won't be in that list, but those will be those great in term, drop MI, streamline, all kind of those ones. Those will be in there shortly. We'll go get the descriptions and everything in there. But yeah, there's some new predictive alerts that are rolling out now. And then some of the other ones will adjust automatically. They already do as the rates change. So
awesome. All right. Thank you again, everyone. We'll catch you all next month.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.